Hey everybody, Trienne here. Super excited to have you as part of the group today. I am really interested in interviewing and getting you to meet Miss Joanne. So say hello to Joanne. Um,
Hi.
so this is Intentional Women Making an Impact. And one of the reasons that we have this interview is that we love to take people from the community and start to engage, get you ladies to know each other and men so that, there might be someone out there that does something that you need help with. Joanne and I were just talking about this, so we'll get into this interview a little bit. But also, these Facebook communities, these are for connection. These are for conversation. These are brought together as like-minded individuals. And in order for everybody to move to their next level, we have to be able to share and support each other through those stages. So welcome, Joanne, to Intentional Women Making an Impact.
Thank you, Trienne. Thank you so much for having me here. And thank you for everyone listening in and tuning in. I just love what you just said about just your values and philosophy. I am all about, my passion is storytelling, and I just love connecting with people. And I was just telling someone recently, my 15-minute coffee chats that I have always end up being 30 minutes, 60 minutes. I think the record one was 2 hours. I didn't time it, but my husband told me afterwards. He was
Oh my
timing it.
gosh. I don't
He's
know how
like,
you could ever cut it down to 15 minutes because, like you
I
said, as
know.
soon as I get to talking to somebody, you can feel that energy and you're
Yeah.
just like we did before we even jumped on here, where, I mean, we could have talked for another hour before we
Oh
even
yeah.
got to the interview. It always
Yeah.
happens that way.
Yeah. Yeah. So,
So
but thank
if
you so
you
much
are
for having
jumping
me on.
on live today, say hello. If you're on the replay, that's fine. I'm a replay girl too. I don't know about you, Joanne, but I rarely get on anything live. I do jump on those replays, and that's actually how I found you through Vanessa and Shenna's group.
Yes. Oh, I am all about the replays.
So tell the group a little bit about yourself and maybe your journey, like what brought you to what you're focused on now as an entrepreneur.
Sure. So I am an email copywriter and strategist, and I help women entrepreneurs and coaches who are in wellness, well-being, and mindset. And I'm sure we'll talk about this later about I'll talk about why I specifically niched in this industry for my clients. And so I actually was an elementary school teacher for 15 years. And 2 years ago, I pivoted. No, I didn't pivot. I took a leap. I took a very big leap of faith.
Didn't we all?
Yes, yes, we all did. So I actually resigned from teaching and I started my own business. I learned all about the online business world, which just totally rocked my world because I did not know anything about it. And I basically started as a virtual assistant because I really just wasn't even sure what exactly I wanted to do in the online business space. I knew there were a lot of different things that I could do. And so I became a virtual assistant, worked with clients who were actually just so happily in wellness and well-being and mindset. And I did all different tasks for them, administrative, social media, email marketing. I did a lot of writing actually because my clients were just so overwhelmed. They didn't even know what they needed help with. And so they said, "What do you like doing?" And I said, "Well, I like writing. And I think I like making graphics," which later I found out I do not like making graphics.
Same. I hate it. Mine are always so basic, and it's because I'm like, I just want to get this out to the world. It doesn't need to be fancy. It doesn't need to be, making movements or whatever. But, you understand
Exactly.
that in the goldfish attention world, that's how you get people's attention. But I'm
Right.
not, I'm not about getting, as a coach, I'm not about getting people's attention. I'm about serving. So
Yeah.
that's why a lot of times my graphics in my group and in my stories are like very minimalist.
I love that. That is exactly what I went for. I just went super minimalist because I realized when I worked for other clients, I'm like moving pixels around. I'm like 2 pixels at a time, like up and then down
Ugh.
and then right. And I'm like, no, this is not my strength. It's not my passion. People who can do that are amazing.
Not
They
my
can,
zone of genius. Which
no,
what's
no.
interesting about what you said though, it's so funny because when I was younger, I wanted to be a teacher also. I'm
Mm.
just going to invite people that are on live to drop in the chat. When you were a little kid, what did you want to be when you grew up?
Oh, that's
Because
so
I think
interesting.
this is so interesting how, when we're little, we have this like great imagination of what we could do and what we could be. And I mean, I pretended to be Wonder Woman and She-Ra. I can't tell you how many times. So, what's interesting is like when I said, "Oh, I want to be a teacher." Well, as I got older, it wasn't people telling me I couldn't be a teacher. It was that I didn't want to be locked into those four walls. And
Hmm.
then as a business owner now and in my like retail and restaurant career, what's funny is I've been a teacher all along. Even as a parent,
Yeah.
we're a teacher all along.
Oh, yeah.
So that thing that we really want, I mean, even you with your VA and, as we're talking about copywriting and in the way that you're making an impact every day, like there's still that love for teaching.
Oh, totally. And I'm glad you brought that up because I felt like that's what I learned going into my journey into entrepreneurship is that one, I wanted to take a break from education and just take a step back from that. I
Mhm.
just needed a break at that point anyway. But I've taken so much of what I do as a teacher into what I do now as a copywriter. And it's not very clear at first. But now that I'm in it, I see all the different connections. Like, oh, as a copywriter, I am using words to help persuade people to
Mhm.
bring up their objections, to get into their minds and be like, oh, wow, she really, like, they really get me. She really gets me. And to persuade them to take the next action step with you, whatever that might be. Maybe it's buying, maybe it's joining a group, maybe it's whatever it is.
Mhm.
And that's the same thing I did as a teacher for 15 years,
Mhm.
convincing children.
I always say we are either being enrolled or we are enrolling other people in like our opinions, our visions, our ideas, right? And I have to stop and ask myself sometimes, like, is this an idea, like something that I actually want to do? Or is this person really just really good at persuading me or enrolling me into their thoughts, right?
Yes.
So I remember, my sister talked to me quite a bit in what was it, 2020 about politics. And I said to her, I'm like, I will listen to you all day long. And I know that you really, really want me to be involved in this conversation. And I just can't.
Yes. No, it is not happening for me. And
Right.
that's I think such a big thing right now in copywriting and just marketing in general is being able to do it with what I call is integrity and kindness and like respecting the audience and respecting who you're talking to. And as an email copywriter, respecting your readers. Okay, we don't need to create this frenzy where someone buys and then has remorse afterwards, like a buyer's remorse afterwards. We don't want that. We want them to feel informed. We want them to feel like they are making their best decision. So we're giving them the information and the persuasion that they need to make that decision for themselves. And for myself as a buyer, I'm very much like a logical buyer. I
Mhm.
wait till the very last second, really the last second to buy something if there is some kind of deadline to it, because I am wanting to make the best informed decision I can. And so that's how I feel about when I'm doing my copywriting and I tell my clients this is that we first of all are not going to be using anything icky or it doesn't need to feel like a car salesman.
Mhm.
We can do it with integrity and kindness, and we can bring your stories and your personality into it so that they make that connection, you build that bridge, and they get to know you along the way. It's like a win-win-win. You're just building relationships and you're inviting them to come be a part of your world.
I think that that's one of the reasons that in my email list, at the end of all of my emails, I'm always like, reply to whatever this question is, because I really want to know where are people at? What more content do they want? What can I help with? How can I serve? So I
Mhm.
always end my emails with a question. And I feel like I got some other great email tips from you when we had your interview with Vanessa.
Mhm.
What would you say to someone who thought, am I do I really need to start an email list? And what would be the first thing that they would do?
I would say I feel like most entrepreneurs know like they need an email list. Everyone's talking about you need to have an email list. And what I'm going to say as an email copywriter strategist is you don't have to have anything really. You decide what you need and you decide what works for you. And if the email list is not on there right now, that's okay. Like you don't need to force it. But with that said, an email list is really great to have because with all the social media marketing, email marketing is there's a very big benefit to it in that you own your list. When you're collecting email addresses, you own those email addresses. And that what that means is that if you change to a different email platform or CRM, you can take those email addresses with you and you can continue growing your list
I
versus on
just
social
did that.
media. Oh,
Mhm.
yes.
I
How
just
was
did
that?
that.
How did it go?
It went well.
Oh,
Yeah, it
good,
was
good.
literally like an export my list to a spreadsheet, take that spreadsheet and upload it into the other program. It was
Yes.
so simple.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You can export your list and have it on your computer and just back it up once in a while if you want to. Or just like what you're saying, if you're moving to another platform, then you can export and just import it back in. And so in social media, you may have a Facebook group, you may be on Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, wherever you are, those followers, you don't actually own. And so if social media goes down, if they decide to close your group, they have so many different policies around that. You have no communication with your followers at that point. But with email, you will, because I know there was the great social media outage. Was it last year or 2 years
Yes,
ago?
it was. Gosh, was it last year? You know, the
Yeah.
most frustrating thing about that
Hmm.
wasn't that I couldn't get on my Facebook that day. That was not a big deal to me.
Yeah.
It was that I was trying to get into an app that I use Facebook to sign into. I think it's Canva.
Oh, I
And
didn't even
because
think about that.
because I couldn't, and I use Zoom in the same way to
Oh,
get into Zoom, I
yes.
sign in with Facebook. But
Yeah.
because Facebook was down, I couldn't get
Hmm.
into Canva and do anything like in
Oh
my business
my
that
gosh.
day
Yeah.
to do with graphics. It was the weirdest thing, and I
Yeah.
thought and that honestly is the time frame that I was like, I need to continue to work on my email list. And I've put, a number more videos up on YouTube and stuff too, because I'm like, I have this information I want to share and I don't want to tie it to just one platform.
Yeah, YouTube is a great place too. Yes, I think that was a big wake up call for a lot of people. It was funny because I got a lot of emails from entrepreneurs that I signed up to their email list. And they all said, look at me. I can email you all because I've got an email list. I said, good for you.
I think another leader that this might help, another type of leader that your conversation might help would be someone, because leaders in this group aren't only entrepreneurs, but also people who are leading teams and leading organizations, whether it's in, a building in four walls or if it's like a
Mm,
network marketing group.
mhm.
However, something that I feel like strongly has helped with building a team, building a brand, building that business from inside out has been like a team newsletter.
Mm, yeah.
So
Yeah.
even engaging when you're thinking about your listener, even engaging just gosh, the people around you and not specifically targeting this outside group of people that are on your email list with your ideas and your advice and your tips, but to get information across to people within an organization.
Yeah, actually, I've never thought about that before. I
Mhm.
specifically work in entrepreneurship in the online space, but I really like that idea of like, yeah, making email work for however it works for your business or if you're in a corporation, just like what you're
Mhm.
saying, like a team email newsletter. It's just a place to be able to connect, to say, hey, I'm thinking of you,
Mhm.
here's what's going on. Maybe you're giving updates, maybe you're giving tips, whatever it is. But I feel like that email is a little more it's a little more intimate than social media, just in the sense that people don't just give out their email address. they may have 6 different ones, and they're going to decide which tier you can go in.
I am that person. I think I have 4 emails, and my main email is a Hotmail account. Oh my gosh, I get so much spam to that I have to unsubscribe from stuff all the time. But that is where I send stuff that I'm like, I will choose when I open this.
Yep.
I send that to my Hotmail.
Yep, exactly. You got your different tiers. So if someone gives you their best email, that really means that they really want to hear from you. They want to see you in the inbox. So don't feel like you're going to bother them or you're going to be annoying. Not at all. They want to hear from you. And I don't remember what our original question was at this point here.
That's how it works. That's how it works. All right. So next for you would be, tell me about something that you are really loving about what you're doing on a daily basis right now to make an impact.
I absolutely love working with my clients. So my passion is storytelling to help them connect with their audience. And so I really elevate their stories and really get to know that. I just love getting to know other people. And so I feel like I really get to know my clients really deeply because I'm hearing about their stories. And a lot of the stories have a lot to do with like how they started, why they do what they do. And even from like childhood, like you were saying, you wanted to be a teacher when you were a kid, but now you're still using all those same skills in a different way. And that is what I love most. And then from there, I have a few different services, but one is like a done for you service, and I write their email sequences for them. And so we basically strategize, and it's like a lot of pulling of details everywhere. And in the end, they have a sequence and they say, I don't know how you did that, but you sound like me, even though I can't sound like myself.
How do you do that? Like, what's a trick of the trade when it comes to that?
Ooh, yeah, this is what I mean. Like, it's a lot of like orchestrating and moving pieces and figuring that out. I mean, one piece is really listening. I'm listening to how they're speaking and talking. And I will even take notes on what words they're using. I just notice what kind of words they're using, and I just write it down when we're doing our discovery session or our strategy call. And I make a bank of words that they use. That's one piece. Another is doing a little bit of brand voice messaging and figuring out what's their brand vibes, like what kind of vibe are they going for? Are they more going for like they're more humorous? Are they more zen, calm? Are they like super action packed? They want, they're very excited. So that really helps too, because that is a big piece of it, is not just even the words, but what's the tone they're going for their audience. And
That's
so,
smart. Yeah.
yeah, so that's another piece. And then usually after I've spoken to them, they do some brand voice. I have a brand voice workbook with questionnaires. I get a few recommendations from them of who they like following, what kind of newsletters that they really resonate with. And I take that and I use all of that to help them find their voice.
That makes a lot of sense because, we are who we surround ourselves with. So the type of people that they're following or the type of people that they're listening to, those ideas obviously are getting shared and mixed in with some of the things that we think for ourselves. So it would make sense that stuff would start to kind of all sound the same.
Yeah. So one thing you can do for brand voice is called this but not that. And this is a way you can kind of figure out like what your brand voice, what you want it to sound like and what you don't want it to sound like. So for instance, I want our brand voice to sound humorous, but not demeaning. Like it's funny, but it's not at the expense of someone else's, what's the word I'm looking for? I can't remember. Someone
Feelings.
else's.
Yeah.
Yeah. Feelings. Maybe it's sound professional, but not stuffy.
Mm-hmm.
You know, maybe it's you want to sound personable, but you also want to sound like an expert.
Mm-hmm.
So those are just ways you
It's
can try it
interesting that
out.
you bring that up because last year, right before Morning Rush, I did a training on personal branding and even how if you don't have your own business, you should think about what your personal brand is. You know, how are you introduced before you even walk into the room, whether it's your energy or what people already know about you from the organization, right? So, again, do you want to be known as, professional, but not stuffy? Do you want to be
Mhm.
known as humorous, but not demeaning? So
Mhm.
it's interesting that you can take that. And even if you're not an entrepreneur, just being a leader in your organization, you can go, okay, who do I want to be? What do I want to be known for? What kind of legacy do I want to leave? And you can use that, this or that with that. That's great.
Oh, I love that. I love that personal, yeah, basically figuring out for yourself. And even in email marketing, what I tell clients too is have some what I call personal story markers.
Mm.
And these are just 3 or 4 things that you mention quite often in your emails so that every time they open your email, they say, "Oh, yeah, yeah, she's talking about her dog. I know that dog. That dog just
Oh, yeah.
loves to go outside and play in the snow." Like, they already know your dog. So,
Yeah.
you just pick 3 or 4 and you just mention it here and there. You don't have to make any big stories out of it. You can if you want, but you just sprinkle it in. I
That's
had
funny
a
because my coach that I had last year, she has this beautiful, handsome Doberman that because I saw him so many times in our calls or I saw him so many times in her stories or whatever. And a lot of times when I'm watching stories, I'll watch them with my daughter because she just thinks that those are cool too. She was 6 at the time. She fell in love with Kyra's dog. So she would like through Voxer and stuff, she would send messages to Kyra and talking about this dog and how much she actually loved this dog. And it was like,
that
how do
is
you
so
know this dog?
great. Yeah, how do you know that's there's, like, personal connections right
But that
there.
makes a lot of sense because it does really, not only create some relation, but also that connection. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's just
So
showing we're all
tell me where
human.
you tell me where you feel like your vision is taking you. Like what's your next level right now?
So I have been providing, done for you services and writing. And then my coach encouraged me to try out email copywriting coaching. So I've been doing that for a couple months. And I honestly at first I was like, I don't know, I kind of like sitting in a corner and taking all the information and writing it up. But, she knew. She's like, "Well, you were a teacher." So she said, "I know there's a passion there for you." And I was like, "Yeah, it's kind of taking a step back from that."
Yeah.
But, I got into it and I am loving it and I'm really enjoying it. And so I am hoping to grow there and take on more clients because I'm seeing the impact it's making for my clients. And they're saying, like, wow, I feel good about emailing my list now.
Mhm.
I actually want to email them and I feel like I have a customized strategy and plan that works for me and my business. And I know how to talk to them and feel like I'm making an impact there. And that's like really huge for me. And I love how then instead of me writing it for them, which is a different clientele, but for this clientele, they just feel empowered to take their list and run with it and just go and be able to use different sequences, write email newsletters, and just feel like they are being who they are. They're not getting stuck, and they have some strategies to help them. And so I don't know. We'll see where this goes. I'm hoping maybe trying a group program from there, or a membership. I don't know. Just,
What's great is it's really giving an opportunity for some women to get their greatness, their zone of genius out there where they maybe didn't even think that they could because maybe they're afraid to go live. Maybe they're afraid to be on video. Maybe they don't want to do stories, reels, TikToks, all that stuff, but they have some great information to share or great lifestyle things to share. So an email, even with pictures, would be a great way to do that. So
Yeah. And I tell my clients, I said, some of them are speakers, and so their superpower is speaking. And I said, you can take that and put that into your emails. You can totally integrate some short video clips to put in there, and that's a great way, because then they're seeing your face, they're hearing you talk. That's just another connection point. And so I just feel like you don't need like you can follow what other people are doing, but you can make your own thing, and your own thing is going to be the most powerful because it's resonating with you and your superpower. So I said, if writing's not your thing, that's okay. You can record an audio on Voxer and embed that into your email, and just be creative with it. Just remember that your email list it's a connection point. You just want to connect, build relationship, and whatever your superpower you have, you just think about how can you bring that into your emails.
I didn't know that you could do that you could record on Voxer and then embed it in.
Yeah.
That's
Oh, well,
interesting.
not embed. Sorry. You
It's
can
okay.
get a link, and then you
Yeah.
can click on it, and that goes to the recording.
Oh my gosh, that's
Yeah.
genius.
I know. So you can, if you just feel like you cannot just even write that day, and you just need to send an audio, like 15 minutes, if you just had a moment in the shower and you need to share it, and you just record it and send it through email.
And I've used in our group, I've used audio rooms before for that reason. It's just like right now I'm in a weird spot that I can't take a video, but I have to share this because it's going to
Yeah.
help somebody,
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
then I just hop on a little audio room, like a little podcast.
Uh-huh. Exactly. It's your own little mini podcast.
Yes. So, as you know, and a lot of people in this group know, I'm a huge believer in that morning routine. Morning Rush 3 is actually our third group, is actually coming out next Monday. So that's super exciting. We've already had over 40 or 45 women go through the Morning Rush in the fall of 2021. So it just got to a time where I was like, okay, people are getting a change of season and a little off balance. We need to bring this back. And I get a lot of messages about bringing that back. So, what is one thing, and it doesn't have to be something that starts off your day, but what is one thing that is a non negotiable in your day that you feel like is bringing some success to your life or business?
Yes, thank you for asking it that way, because I am not a morning person, and I have two very young children, one a baby. So
Aw.
they wake up really early. So I'm basically forced to wake up early. But morning is not my best. It's not my best time, I have to say. I have always been a night owl, and I actually do my routine at night,
Mhm.
right before I go to sleep. And it's just a nice time because I feel like the kids are asleep, everyone's asleep. It's really quiet. I don't get
Mhm.
interrupted. And there are zero interruptions. It's wonderful. It's really important to me right now in my life. And basically, what I do is every night, I've been doing this for 3 months now. I started doing this when I started working with my intuitive coach, and it's really just helped me in my life so much. And I don't even want to give up because I know how much it has helped me. But I basically do like a 20-minute meditation. And during that time, I do a forgiveness prayer,
Mhm.
and I just forgive one to three people that I need to forgive, or it doesn't have to be people either. And that has helped me so much, just personally for myself. And then send them lots of good vibes, energy, send them love. And then I do a few yoga stretch poses. And then I end with my gratitude journal, which I was
Mhm.
doing before, just three, like what I'm grateful for, what are three grateful things I'm grateful for. I think I said grateful like 10 times there. Sorry.
That's okay. It's just bringing more your way. It's fine.
I'm so grateful. I say it so many times. So I started with
Well,
three, and then I just added more. And now I just write everything I'm grateful for the day. And actually, I
mhm.
find that not limiting it to three has actually helped me to be able to see how many things. I mean, the list just gets so long sometimes. And I'm just like, wow. And it just makes me feel so thankful, grateful.
Well, yeah, it's raising that vibration. And as we know, our energies match, right? So you're raising that vibration, raising that energy of just like, oh my gosh, I'm so grateful and thankful to have this thing in my life. That's
Yeah.
part of our morning rush as well. And I do share like start with 3 to 5. And if you can't think of one because you're just that grumpy when you wake up, then maybe it just starts with, I'm so grateful and thankful that I woke up today. I mean, you just like get the ball rolling. And you're
Yeah.
right. Sometimes it's going to be 100 and sometimes it's going to be 2 and you're going to be like, that's all you get today.
Right, exactly. But it's just one of those things that is now routine. And if I hit my pillow and I realize, oh wait, I forgot to do my journal, I will get back up and I will do it because it is that important to me, and I just love it so much. But yes, one of the things actually I was doing in the morning that actually I forgot about that I do want to implement again is setting my intention for the day. And I did that actually for a week and it was really great. And then that just rolled off. Mornings are just those times for me.
Yeah. I wasn't a morning person before. I struggled to get out of bed like at 7 o'clock before I had my first child. And then after I had my first child, you know, any quiet time in the house, I started getting up between like 4:30 and 5 o'clock. And now I just have this internal clock that sometime between 5 and 5:30, that just is what it is.
Wow,
So,
that's
and then my
incredible.
youngest wakes up with me. It's like she can smell that I've passed her room. And she wakes up with me and she's a morning person. My other one is not. We all have our things.
Yeah, that's great.
So
They always
as
do.
people are getting to know you through the community, obviously, because we're hitting our 30-minute mark here, I could talk to you forever, I feel like, but
Yeah, that was
um,
been going fast.
I know. Where do you hang out? Where can people, follow more of your greatness? Where can people look you up?
Yeah, so they can go to my website, which my business name is Desk Plant Creatives with an S at the end. Desk plant because it just brings a lot of vibrancy and fresh air to your home office.
I wish I
And
could keep them alive. I have one plant I've been able to keep alive, and that's my money tree.
oh, that's a good one to keep alive.
I know.
Okay, of all the ones, that's
Of all
good.
the
That's
ones,
good.
he's holding strong.
That's great. Yeah, you know what? I am not a green thumb at all. Actually, people ask me that all the time because my business name is Desk Plant, and I say, I'm just gonna be honest. The only things we can keep alive in our home are succulents because the more you ignore them, the more they grow. So we have a lot of succulents in our house, and we have a few. I have a few little stuffed animal plants that my husband bought for me. He saw them. And he said, "Oh, this is totally you." And I said, "This is totally me." They have like little smiley faces on them.
Aw, the thought that
But
counts, right?
so where was I going? Oh, my website. So deskplantcreatives.com. And then I'm also on Instagram, and that handle is Desk Plant Creatives with a dot in between each word. Desk.creatives.plant. Oh, sorry. Desk.plant.creatives.
Okay.
And I'm mostly in the stories in there. And absolutely join my email list if you feel like we are vibing on the same level. And I have a free guide that you can grab on my website. And then I can share the sign up link too. And the lead magnet is 3 simple steps to irresistibly entertaining emails that sell. And
Let's make sure that we get those in the comments when everything is said and done so that people will be able to get more of that from you as well.
sure.
Yeah.
I've got a lot of good feedback from it. It's something that gives you those quick wins that you need with your email list if you don't know what to say. A lot of people use it as a reference guide whenever they email. They can look at it because it also has a bunch of prompts in there too. And so it just helps you write your newsletter in 30 minutes and not drag it out, which is really
Mhm.
great.
Nice. So
So
I've
there's
had
that.
you on hot seat now for 30 minutes.
It
And I
went fast.
appreciate that. So, what maybe is one question that you have for me? This is the first time we've gotten the chance to really just kind of sit and chit chat. So, what kind of things have come to your mind that you might have a question for me?
I I have a question around what you were saying, how you said you wanted to be a teacher when you were a kid, but now you use it for what you do now. I'm wondering what is it? What's your teacher self like in your business?
Absolutely. So I would say my teacher self has changed over the last 20 some years that I've been in restaurant and retail and coaching. I've only had my coaching business, if you want to call that, for the last 2 years. However, I feel like I've been asked advice for my entire life. And it used to just be, I would pride myself on having the answer. So tell the answer, tell the answer, tell the
Mm,
answer. This is
mm,
where you go. This is what you look for. Yep, I can do that.
mhm,
And I have found that transitioning over probably the last 10 years
mhm,
to being more of someone who asks a lot of questions,
mhm.
that not only am I still able to help them provide the answer, but they're feeling more empowered because they're able to find it on their own.
Yeah.
So, similar to Morning Rush, I could go on Pinterest and I could give anybody a list of things to do every morning, and they could follow it or choose not to follow it. They could be successful or not be successful.
Mhm,
The thing that makes people successful feeling with Morning Rush is that they design it themselves. It's an individual plan so that they see really what works for them and what doesn't.
mhm.
And again, it's empowering them to make those decisions rather than just telling them this is what you should do and this is where you should go.
Oh,
So
I
I
love
think
that.
that that's really the basis of like my coaching and my leadership, is really trying to get people to know you already have the answers inside you. I just need to help you bring that out.
I love that. I love that. Yeah, I feel like there are no shoulds, there are no have tos.
Mhm.
And I love that customized plan because I work with clients who are in, well-being, like creating self-care plans that actually work for you is about figuring out what works for you. You don't need to follow someone else's plan. Okay, now that makes, am I allowed to ask another question?
Sure.
Do I
Sure.
have that control? Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wait a minute.
There's always possibilities.
What do you do for your morning routine?
Oh, that's interesting. So I'm sharing that in our challenge right now,
Uh-huh.
but I call it the me plus three, which
Uh-huh.
is I have one thing that I do or have planned out for myself every single day, whether that's getting the time to sit and read a book, going for a
Mhm.
walk, making a phone call, sending a special text message. It's one thing that just makes me feel good for me.
Mhm.
Um, so I make sure that I have that intention for the day. And then it's gratitude, growth, and goals. So in my gratitude practice, in my growth practice, it's either journaling, listening to a podcast, reading a book, taking a training. And then in the goals, it's what like three things that I want to get done today that are, I wouldn't say non-negotiable because I always give myself a little bit of space so that
Mhm.
I don't feel anxious.
Mhm.
But three things that I want to get done today that'll get me closer to one of my targets.
Yeah, that's great. I
Mhm.
love that. I like the alliteration.
Yeah, it's the Me Plus 3 is actually something that I developed from, so do you know who Danielle Delgado is?
Nope.
You will wanna look her up. She is amazing when it comes to personal growth and development,
Okay.
and she has a tattoo on her finger that when she's speaking, it says Me Plus 3,
Hmm.
and it stands for herself and her 3 kids. Like, who am I doing this
Mm.
for? That's who I'm doing this for. And when I was trying to come up with my just a name for my routine to give it a little bit more structure as I continued sharing it over the last couple years.
Mhm.
I could give someone a list, but it was more about how do I help them make theirs individual. And the Me Plus 3 has really been a way to make it more individual for them.
Yeah, I love that. Thanks for
Mhm.
sharing.
Yeah. Yep. All right. Well, thank you so much for getting on here today and sharing how you're making an impact. I'm excited to have people follow you, get in on that lead magnet that you shared. And then anyone who is part of intentional women making an impact, actually, I go in and pre-approve them for posts. So you're welcome to share some of your goodness with the group as you see what fits the longer that you're in the group as well.
Okay, great. Thank you so much
Okay.
for having me on. It was a really great chat.
It was. It was. I feel like we could talk even longer, even though I try to
Oh,
keep
yeah.
them to 30 minutes. But
Yeah.
all right,
No, that's
everybody, thank you so much for joining us today. We are super appreciative of you taking the time to get on here and getting to know Joanne and more people that are in our community, so that we can go out there and make the impact that we are meant to make. We'll talk to you soon.